So David, welcome to the Mansion House.
Thank you very much.
It's great to see you again, even though last time I saw you was on that great film you did at the Natural History Museum. And how is your daughter doing?
No, she's very good. She seemed to take the like a duck to water. She was very natural, and the team were very good at editing me, so I looked like I was not too bad.
Finance is going to be absolutely critical to getting to those net zero emissions that we want to have.
Absolutely, and I suppose if you take a step back and think, there is an argument that the capital markets and financial markets have arguably been the most damaging element globally. They've been very creative and hugely innovative and created huge growth, but they've also created huge damage globally.
Well, investing in the wrong
things,
business,
exactly,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
right. And I think if we can start to align the new investor demand, the new consumer demand for doing the right thing, whether that's around protecting the planet or protecting society, actually that demand creates value pools for organisations to do the right thing.
I'm very optimistic that the market will take us where we need to get to, and as Mark Carney has said many times, this is an investment opportunity of a generation, and I believe it is. What I think is that the world, and I'm interested to hear what you feel we can get out of COP26, which I describe as the zero emissions COP, which it is that we need to focus on 2030. 2050, 2060, too far away.
Absolutely.
Let's see what we can do by 2030 and move as fast as we can. And when the world wants to move fast because of a crisis, vaccinations, COVID-19, we've seen it, we can do it.
Yeah, we can.
What are you looking for out of COP26?
Well, I think one of the key things that we've talked about is this ability to create a coherent demand signal. Right. What do we all care about? Because that's missing both from an investor and consumer perspective, but also from almost an employee perspective and a citizen perspective. So there's no clear and coherent voice globally about these are the things that we really care about. I think those need to be documented in conjunction with a framework that we understand. So the SDGs are very useful at that, and that's why the Rewired.Earth model is quite interesting around creating a sustainability square that can be used both on the demand side and on the supply side. On the supply side, I think it's really important that we move away from multiple different versions of the truth and have one standard that enables us not to just look at the top level PLCs, but actually build that up from the data behind that in the supply chain. And if we enable organisations to, by looking, they can be better, as opposed to by not looking, they're bad, that moves us into a model where we're driving the right behaviours for the right reasons. So if COP26 can align a clear articulation of the demand piece and get everybody involved in documenting what they care about and how they want to be invested or employed, etc. But they can also engage with the financial markets and the corporates and the supply chains around how they provide transparency in a consistent way. And not getting everything perfect straight away, because we won't be able to. But if we can start at the company level even, and then entity level within the company, and then the factory level, and then the product level in due course, what we start to build is a backbone of the information that won't be perfect to begin with, but a lot better than we've got. But we can extend that, both in terms of the depth of the data, but also the timeliness. So it might start off annually, and then half yearly, and quarterly, and monthly, then daily. But by having that backbone that's kicked off at COP26, we're actually on the path to being able to create a joined-up market that supports the protection of both society and the planet, which is increasingly what the investors and consumers want. So I think in terms of standards, it's as important as the financial reporting standards. The sustainability standards that will sit under the IFRS Foundation is going to be critical. The issue is that they take such a long time.
And also we don't have the data at the moment.
Absolutely.
Getting the data. You talk about the supply chains. Where does my avocado come from that I buy in Sainsbury's or Tesco's? And the answer is I have no idea.
No.
What is the criteria of that avocado? How much water has been involved?
Exactly.
This is the challenge.
How was it shipped?
How is it shipped? Coming back to that sort of green premium, is that you're going to be able to borrow money because you're a greener company. And those companies that don't get there, the rates of borrowing for them are going to go up, because the market's going to say there's more risk in investing in your company if you aren't making, as we call it, the transition.
If you think about bank investors, if their portfolio is becoming more and more red, it's actually very difficult then for them to gain capital and the investment that they need, because their investors are trying to drive the right behaviours from a transition perspective too. So it almost becomes difficult for the banks to maintain that sort of portfolio.
Definitely, and also there's a generational thing here. I mean, the younger generation, and obviously we talked about your daughter, my daughter who's 19 at university, she's vegan. My diet has changed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we all want to sort of eat the same, but also her beliefs and how she sees where the world is going, and that's another area that I think is going to be critical. And this generation have much more of a social purpose.
Yeah.
And they want to join companies that are doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And so the companies have to adapt, because if you can't recruit the talent that you need to grow your company.
Exactly.
And so there is this virtuous circle, which I think is very positive.
No, absolutely.
Getting us in the right direction.
Absolutely. I think as you see the money shift from the baby boomers to the younger generation, the sort of millennials and beyond, what you're seeing is essentially trillions of value shift into people that care about this subject. And we're seeing that in the sort of the funds market. I think depending on which area you look at and which research you look at, there's a number that talks about 40 trillion, another one that talks about 70 trillion, another that talks about 100 trillion at this point. That in terms of the equity investments or investments via funds. So we're seeing that shift in terms of people caring more about this. And I totally agree in terms of the younger generation. I think everybody is starting to change their behaviour slightly. Maybe rather than have meat every day, it might be 2 days where they're not eating meat, or there's a choice to walk or take the car or cycle. People are starting to it might only be small changes, but everybody's starting to think, well, actually, I could make that change.
It's not happening fast enough, and I do say to people that if you think COVID-19 was bad, climate change, you ain't seen nothing yet. I get that. And you don't want to scare people so much that they say, gosh, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
But when I go on my virtual trips as Lord Mayor, and I did one to Indonesia, and it was good. I mean, I had a meeting with the Minister of Finance. They're all saying the right things, and they've just created a sovereign wealth fund where they could use that as the conduit to help with all the things they've got to do with Indonesia, because that really is biodiversity and finance and whatever Indonesia has, and 250 million people. But you sense there is that positive momentum, and we just need to keep that going, and COP26 is part of that. But look, I do think that ultimately we can get there. We need to move, as you said, very fast. But the marketplace is extraordinary, and who would have thought that the price of renewables would be where it is now?
Absolutely.
Even though we need a bit more wind because prices are up a lot. But you know where I'm coming from. So I think that's where the capital's going to go, is where those opportunities.
And I think the point around we need to collaborate as a market on the things we should collaborate on to enable us to compete effectively going forward. I think is something that if we get that bit right, then we're setting ourselves up for success.
Great.
All right. Thank you very much.